I had to look back at my timeline, and I think it was less than maybe 5 or 6 days ago. I was right here up at Trump Tower. And at that time, if any of you guys remember that conversation as you pile on in here, I'm just going to start this off. So I've sent out invites. If y'all get in as y'all come in or whatever, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the migrant crisis, and I want to give you guys an update about the migrant crisis because I think it's kind of crazy. So bear with me. So last time when I came up here, which was about less than 6 or 7 days ago, right? When I came up here at that time, I remember what I was specifically what I was talking about. And at that time, I was talking about a situation that had happened, and I believe at that time it was with one of the migrant shelters, and some police had went down there to arrest the female. And what had happened was they ended up getting into an altercation with all the rest of the people that were in the homeless shelter at the time, right? It was crazy. And so, give me 1 second, we'll let this pass by. And so at that time, I explained very clearly, and I said, hey, listen, a lot of times these guys, what they do is they end up and they turn around and they kind of like try to gang up on you, things like that or whatever, whatever. Now, just a few minutes ago, I'm going to go into my own situation, whatever this is what I experienced and what prompted me to do this one. Because I was going to do it anyway, I promised you guys, but I wanted to talk about it right now. So just a few minutes ago, I was sitting there, I was smoking a cigarette, I'm minding my business or whatever. And at that time, this was before I did the last live that I just did with you guys a few minutes ago. And so at that time, this guy, I see him come up and he starts talking to himself. Automatically, right then and there, I start paying attention because, as you know, usually when you get one of these tickers, as I like to call them, you know what I'm saying? They get a little off ride. So as I predicted, I was right. So he walks around me, and I'm standing in this kind of like little shelter area or whatever, and he's definitely a migrant. He's Mexican, Venezuelan, something or another. And he creeps around, and he thinks I'm not looking. Oh, but I'm looking. I live in the New York City tri-state. You kidding me? I'm looking. So I look, and just like clockwork, what he had did was he had worked himself, because it's like a little shelter, a little box thing. He had worked himself where he was going to walk up, and he was going to come in and kind of encase me. And so what I did was I counted him, and I walked in front of him. So when he walked around, we met eye to eye. Scared the crap out of him. So then he started acting tough. He started, of course, and acted like he had something in his pocket and, all that stuff. I just walked off from it. I didn't engage because you never know. But the point was, and I'll stress it again, this guy was a predator. And he tried to prey on me, and I'm the wrong person to try to prey on, trust me. Well, since the last time I was up here and I was talking about the migrant crisis, and at that time I was talking about the police officers that got attacked, I've actually taken y'all to both locations with a 15-year-old. He did the shooting up in there and shot a tourist from Texas. I took you to the location, and I was glad that night there was actually cops there because they actually helped me out. They was like, no, it's right here. She was helping me out before I even started filming. And it was crazy because they had gotten to something. Well, let me tell you in the update of what had happened since then, the last time I was up here, because you're going to be surprised. Okay, first of all, it got so bad up here, we got the National Guard in the freaking subway system now, And that took effect about 2 days. I think it was much needed. That came from Governor Holcomb up there in upstate New York or whatever the case may be. And I think pretty soon we're going to need it out in Connecticut where I'm at. At least the portion where I'm at in Connecticut is close to New York. So it's like, it's pretty much the same thing for the most part. And so, we got our little situations out there too. But let me continue. Within 12 hours of me doing that last live when I was up here at Trump Tower and I was talking about the migrant crisis then, within 12 hours, and I mean this, within 12 hours, listen to me, within 12 hours we had another incident. This incident happened down at Times Square. Now, in this incident, it was 23 guys, between 18 and 23 guys, that jumped one 17-year-old kid. Followed after that, just a few hours later, there was another set, particularly maybe so much and maybe the same group, that jumped another dude in front of the Hard Rock Cafe. This was in 12 hours of me being up here last time and talking about everything else. Y'all better listen to me. And I think it's funny because I think somebody from the mayor's office, perhaps, maybe or so, or whatever the case may be, might have heard me. because the next day he made an announcement about some changes he was going to do, and I appreciate him doing that. And I'm sad that he had to be forced to take on this, but a lot of states are seeing the same thing. We got Chicago out there. The people in the streets of Chicago are ready to go to war. They are, justly so. These people intimidate people. I've had them try me. Like I said, I had one try to try me tonight. And they particularly have some disdain for white Americans and black Americans for some reason or another. I noticed that. Very high disdain. And it's kind of like, how can I say it? Tethering on the factor of kind of like being, what's the word I'm looking for here? Entitled. That's the best way I can put it, entitled. I've never seen people that stay at a free hotel, getting free clothes, getting free this, getting free that, turn around and act so arrogant and belligerent and just obnoxious. Like I've never, listen, we got, yo soy aquí, tú sabes, yo soy la cubano, la moreno ahí, tú sabes, yo todo americano, tú sabes, creo que sí. That's word. But at the same time, you got other Latinos from Latinx that are now standing up, and they're saying the same thing. These people come from terrible backgrounds. That's first thing. You understand what I'm saying? They come from terrible backgrounds. I'm not saying the total of them, but most of these people are not educated. Most of these people don't have shit going on. Most of these people can't do anything with basic labor. When I came up here 8 days ago, and you guys remember when I came up here at that time, I laid down everything, and it's just miraculous. Within 12 hours, 12 hours, we have another incident right in Times Square where we have someone that's assaulted by approximately almost 18 people. 18 people. Now, out of the 18 people, they ended up collecting up 6 of them, all right? 6 out of 18, Now, what do you think the trajectory in that is? What do you think is next? What do you think is next? Now, I'm not sitting up here saying to you, I'm totally anti-migrant. I don't want any migrants in the country or whatever the case may be. I think everybody plays their part. Get what I'm saying? But when you're out here and you're bothering Americans, then I got a problem with it, because I couldn't go to your country of origin and start poking holes and picking with people and intimidating people and harass. There are literally videos out right now, state to state, of this same behavior that I'm describing. There's people that put up videos from Chicago. There's people that's put up videos from New York. There's people that's put up videos from different parts of the country addressing this same factor. I think nothing as strong has come out of Chicago as I've heard so far about this migrant crisis and this particular group of migrants that come over here. I think it's a shame. Even what I'm hearing and the feedback I'm getting, I'm even hearing at the shelters there's some steam. You don't have just migrants coming from the Caribbean, or Caribbean countries, I guess you could say it best like that. They're not just coming from there. They're coming from other places. Now, particularly 2 of the places they're coming from, believe it or not, are China and Africa. A lot of people from China and Africa. And what I'm finding out is a lot of the African guys, they're ending up fighting for bed spaces and all kinds. This is true stuff going on. They're fighting for bed spaces and things like that with the Latino migrants. And that's going to cause a confluxion too. We got to do what we got to do here. That's why I come up here to the chief spot right here, because you know what? He's got a remedy for that. Give me a second. Give me a second here. Give me 1 second, guys. I got an ambulance pulling by. 1 second. That's why I came back up here. Because I came up here before. I talked about what was going on. I told you a lot of these guys is coming across that border. They're part of gangs. You understand what I'm saying? Different gangs. Remember me telling y'all that? I said the next day, all of a sudden we got Mayor, Governor Holcomb talk about the same thing. Yeah, a lot of these people, I know they from gangs. I know they from gangs. Listen, I done lived on the shoreline of Connecticut probably half my life, if not most of my life, between here and New York. That's the 2 things I know. In Jersey, I know Jersey a little bit, but not as well as New York and Connecticut like the back of my hand. These are my 2 stopping grounds. I know a criminal when I see one. You know what I mean? Especially if you've been around them before, you know how to readily recognize them. So can I get an amen at the church? Huh? You know how to readily recognize them. And I'm trying to tell you, a lot of these guys ain't gangs, and they're bringing gangs here that you never heard of before, that or basically had their orientation in the country of origin for most of these people. These are not gangs that you readily would have heard of years ago, or whatever the case may be. You understand what I'm saying? Like, for example, with New York, it would be Los Salitos or Nietas or Latin Kings, for Chicago. No, these are different gangs. These are gangs that are extremely violent to a decorum that you wouldn't understand. I'll give you an example. There was this picture that was floating around in Mexico, and I believe it was Juarez, Mexico. And they had taken well over 150 knives, if not more, and poked them all into this one guy, and they dumped him in the middle of the street. Do you know how sick you have to be, how demented, how this deranged you have to be to do something like that? Think about it for a second. There was another picture I captured. I'm not going to ever show this stuff on YouTube. They'll ban my page, but there was another picture they showed where they actually had 3 bodies, and they had literally hung them, did the same thing, stuck a whole bunch of knives in them. Everybody covered it. Routers covered it, everybody. Y'all know I know all the outlets. I do this for a living. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you guys check out my coverage of my footage of the Jonathan Majors trial. I was there for a full 2 weeks. We're going to keep promoting that. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all share that, like it, and subscribe if you like the footage. This is the type of people you got coming in now. Now, I'm going to tell you about a second incident that happened 12 hours, 16 hours after that, involving some more cops. See, what's happening is you ain't got enough cops to watch over all these people. And the process is you can't really vent them right now because there's an INS process of, and I told you guys about this before, where they do an interview. Now, this INS process, and if you don't know what INS is, that's Immigration Naturalization Services. They preside and facilitate all the different functions before you go into your passage into trying to become a citizen of the United States, right? And so what INS is having a problem with is because you have so many people that are here, that are coming here so quickly and growing. They're coming from many different countries. Like I said, they're not just coming from Latin America. They're coming from Africa. They're coming from China, which is scary as I don't know what. You know what I'm saying? And they're coming from Japan. And this is a special thing because of a pact that Japan has with the United States. I'm not sure how it's written into the UN Charter or whatever the case may be. If you're a Japanese citizen, you can fly, it's Mexico they have it with. If you're a Japanese citizen, you can fly, I believe it is, to Argentina, and then from Argentina, they're coming into Mexico. So basically, they're coming in with Gucci luggage. They're not taking the same passage as the Mexican immigrants, if you could, or Venezuelan and everybody else there. It's a different passage for them. They're actually flying in to Argentina, making their way to Mexico. Then they're paying $100, $200, $300 to these smugglers. These smugglers are bringing them into the country at the border, whatever. There's several of them, but the one that I keep seeing most frequently is this one little gate, and that might be the one that you guys see too, where they're actually just pushing up under it, going up under the thing, and coming right out. I told you this was going to get worse. And I told y'all as the money ran out, it was going to get worse and worse. I have been covering this for about a year now. Before all the other vloggers got on this whole thing talking about the migrant crisis, I was the first one on it. I took y'all for the first time, I took y'all to the one hotel, and I showed y'all what was going on at that. That was at the Roosevelt. Then that was when they were protesting. It was out in the cold. It was freezing that night, but I made sure I had the footage for you. The second time we went to the Row Hotel, which has over 1,139 rooms, all of them occupied by mostly migrants. I took you there and I showed you what was going on over there. I showed you how people were out there smoking weed. I showed you out there how girls were out there just, abruptly looked like they were almost prostituting themselves. See, they don't have any work permits, so they can't work right now. Same thing going on in Chicago. In Chicago, they're going to city hall meetings. Some of them can speak English. They're going to city hall meetings, or they're going there with representation from some agency or something like that. And they're voicing their opinions on what they think about white Americans and black Americans in those neighborhoods. This is the truth. If you don't believe me, look up the demographics right now in spending and what they had left over in surplus at the end of the year for multiple counties in Chicago. And you'll see a drastic difference from even 2 years ago. Go look at the demographic for the surplus that was left over for New York City. I even hinted and heard the mayor kind of mention it in his nice little press conference he gave. God bless your heart. Shit hitting, ain't it? It's kind of hitting hard, ain't it? This money was intended for us. I say that loud, clear, and proud. This money was intended for us. I'll give you an example. One of the towns I used to live in Connecticut, we probably had about 10 local businesses shut down during the pandemic. They were forced down. These were places we went to for years. For everybody that knows me in NL, and y'all watching this, everybody that knows me in Stanford, and y'all watching this, Greenwich, and y'all watching this, y'all know what I'm talking about. We saw places we knew for years closed down. Ain't nobody come help them. Ain't nobody come save them. Not even the freaking people of the town came and helped save them. But we didn't spend how much now? I asked many times, and I still ask again, what happened to Biden's Build Back Better bullshit plan? Remember that? That went, So you got to give my trajectory here when I say I'm worried about America. My uncles, all of them, Shriners. I used to go to temple with them. Shriners served in the war, busted their ass. I got an uncle that used to work at General Electric, used to work in product development. I got another uncle who used to work at Northwestern, Norfolk and Southern. I got an aunt that was a triage nurse in Italy and in France. I come from a long list of military people. I'm probably the only one and another cousin that didn't join the military. Every last one of them. Air Force. I've got nieces in the Air Force now. You know. And respectfully, black Americans have fought in almost every single war in this country since the Civil War. This is your country. Where else you gonna go to? You know? So I don't want to make it a racial thing or anything like that, but it's apparent and it sticks out that this group of individuals deciding right now in the early stages to attack police officers. They're gonna have an incoming doom. They're kind of scared to go against African Americans. I'll tell you why. Because if they go against a lot of the African Americans, especially in the gang wide, a lot of the Latin gangs are linked with the black gangs in New York. So they would have a problem. You understand what I'm saying? Plus it would get it messy, so they would have even a bigger problem. You dig me? So I don't think that'll ever come to fruition. But when you start flipping out on the police, see, y'all don't know this stuff, but I'm gonna tell you. In a lot of Caribbean countries, especially, I ain't gonna say any particular, but they war with police. I can use Mexico because that's just out there. They war with police. Same thing in Venezuela. They war with the police. And when I mean war with the police, I'm talking about you got demonstrations where people are throwing rocks, people are doing all kinds of things or whatever. So when you come from that type of environment and you just shuttle them to America just abruptly, there's no preamp, there's no nothing. They bring in that same behavior with them. Now, I said this last time when I was up here 8 days ago, and nobody believed me. Less than 12 hours later, you go down there to Times Square, there's 18 people down there that attacked one 17-year-old kid. 6 of them stayed at the migrant shelter. What part am I making up? Now, there's a difference between being biased and there's a difference between self-preservation. Now, you like these motherfuckers? Fine. Invite them to your house. Have them for a cookout. Let them rob your ass. You know what I'm saying? But what I see with my own 2 eyes, I've seen now, and I've covered 3 stories. I went to the location where they're jumping police officers, a migrant shelter, they're jumping police officers. Down at Times Square, they're jumping police officers. Over at the sports store, they're over there shooting up the... That kid was 15 years old that shot up that motherfucking store. And he shot at the police officers. Now, a lot of people ain't gonna like the way I say this, especially some of my white subscribers or whatever, pardon me for saying this, but they done shot at niggas for less. That's all I'm saying. They didn't shot at niggas for less. But you telling me Juan Pito gets a pass when he jumps on a cop. That doesn't make sense to me. You gotta lose your empathy with this. If you go in this, and I'm saying this to the mayor of New York City, and I'm saying this to a lot of other people, your empathy has led to these people believing that they can take advantage. And your neglect of the people that were already here is providing an incoming temperament that you ain't gonna be able to control. Sooner or later, all the citizens of New York City, they're gonna start getting angry. Even the ones that proudly supported this shit, they're gonna start getting angry. They're gonna ask, why am I spending this much money for a group of folks that literally will ride this out until the end? And you got another year with this? How much money is left in the surplus from last year versus 2 years ago? Show us the demographics on that. So I'm not making anything up. I came up here to confirm myself because I came up here before. Yeah, I remember I was sitting up here and I said it literally. If verbatim it happened. So whoever's listening to me, I'm going to say this. First of all, shout out to Lynn Patton. Lynn Patton is like, I think she liked like 2 of my Instagram posts before, including the live I did up here before. That was, Jesus Christ, yeah, 4 years ago. It's come November. That was when Trump was still in office and I was up here. I've been coming up here for a very long time. I think last time I came up here, I took you guys inside or whatever. I can't take you in tonight. I got something to do. But listen, I'll say to you this. Because I want to make this brief. I don't want to make this a bashing segment or whatever. I don't want to point out all the things that's wrong or whatever, because I can go on for days. You know, whether it's the money they're providing, these cars they were supposed to be providing as a step-up for the kids and all this stuff or whatever. I don't care. Can I just be honest? I don't care. You know what I care about? I care about people that, like, were in the town where I lived at. You know what I'm saying? That got their businesses shut down that we know. Like, these are people we know. You know what I'm saying? Like, we've been going these places for 10, 15 years. And they got shut down because of the pandemic and nobody helped them. But we spending hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. I forgot what the numbers were, but it's in the hundreds of millions every almost 6 months on some folks that really could give you everything but their ass to kiss. There was this one clip when one of the kids, the ones that had beat up the police officers down there in Times Square, there was a video and one of the kids walks out to the courtroom and he's giving everybody the middle finger. Did y'all see that clip? I should have did this with StreamYard because I could have played these clips for you, but I just wanted to do this on a tangent. When you have somebody with that type of veracity and they're sticking their middle finger up at the cameras, they're sticking their middle finger up at the court, they're sticking their middle, what do you think is going to be the end game and result of that? See, this is the thing, and I say this. Some people get it, some people don't understand. There's different tiers and classes of African Americans, there's different tiers and classes of Latinos, and every other subject or whatever. But I'm going to stick with blacks and Latinos. There's different sorts of them. Some of them are criminals, some of them are freaking thespians, some are college graduates, such as myself, some of, accomplished men, such as myself. Half of the people will never do what I ever did working at a record label for that many amount of years. So the point I'm getting at is most of these people that you have coming here, they're unskilled. So like, what are you hoping and betting on? Are you hoping this is going to pan out 10, 15 years from now or whatever? It's not. It's not. It's just not. It's not going to work. I lost my train of thought because I really want to say something one way, and if I say it, it'll sound really, really like I'm being a bully, and I don't want to sound like a bully. I don't want to sound like a bully. But am I right or wrong, people? Am I right or wrong? That's all I got to say, man. Am I right or wrong? And Trump, I hope if and when you get back in, I hope you take care of this because you warned us. And I was right up here during election day. I remember that 4 years ago. I was standing right in front of here to say Black Lives Matter. Let me show you guys this for y'all that ain't never seen it. I was up here when the girl, she came from this corner right here. I'm going to zoom in on this for you guys a little bit. She came from this corner right here and she poured paint all over this Black Lives Matter sign. And there was another dude that did it before she did it. But see, it ran all around here. That's why it's faded out now. See how it's faded out? And actually right there, you can see the paint because they tried to lift the paint up, but it didn't work. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that is or whatever. You see, I'm doing this out here with the codeine out here. You know what I mean? Don't call me pussy, nigga. So, like I said, this is an issue. It's a problem. Chicago's seeing it. New York seeing it. Most of the tri-state is seeing it now. These people are now taking flight and they're going to other states. So Greg Abbott, somebody get down there and sort him out, because you can't keep sending everybody everywhere, man. It's not going to work. That's you guys' problem. And they need some federal funding. Well, help them out. Should have built the fence first time. Can you say Trump was wrong? That's a question for you. Can you say Trump was wrong? I'll wait. Can you say Trump was wrong? I'll wait for anybody to write it in the listening, because if you don't live here, if you don't live in most major cities, you're gonna think it's light. But if you live in major cities like we do, you're gonna see it's a very different. You're gonna have a very different opinion. Now, like I said, I'm not bashing on these people, whatever. I'm simply pointing out what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing this in multiple tiers. You know what I mean? I hope that Trump gets back in, he eradicates this problem. I think a lot of the people need to be sent back. I think that because of the INS process and this holdup and them not being able to do it thoroughly, I think that they need to take some consideration and say, okay, who's really at risk if they return back to their country? Or do we have this somebody that's running from, whatever. Like if you're running from a gang or something in Venezuela, what fucking problem is it with ours? I can show you a guy right now. I can go across the street right here. I guarantee I can show you at least 6 or 7 guys at one of the local churches over here that's sleeping out in the cold. But I'm supposed to worry about some dude that's staying up in a fucking hotel for free, but could give a shit less, and they out here jumping cops. I'm supposed to feel sorry for that? I don't think so. And I don't think you guys should either. So listen, like I said, I just wanted to make this one brief. I wanted to come back up here and talk about that, at least have the conversation one more time. I know some people, based off of the regular stuff that I do, you're not into this conversation. I can understand that thoroughly or whatever, but I want you to pay attention to it. Especially a lot of people, if you're in the African-American community, you're different from me in this fashion because you don't speak Spanish. You understand? So it'd be a whole bunch of stuff I hear people say all the time, and sometimes I react to it, sometimes I don't. But I'm trying to tell you, and this is why I try to tell, and I'm not trying to take shots at her. That's why I tell Cat Medusa, like, listen, stop telling people you're Dominican if you don't speak Spanish. Trust me, it's going to come up. You know what I mean? Maybe not out there where you live at. Entonces, sabes, claro en la mente, entonces, sabes, ahora. No, tú eres, no hablo español, no sé nada. Tú eres no dominicana, tú eres la negrita, negra, tú sabes, la princesa, tú sabes. Claro. I appreciate it. Other than that, guys, I'm out of here. If you got any things that you guys got to say about what's going on in your community, what's going on in your state, as far as the migrant crisis is concerned, please let me know. I want to hear everybody's individual opinion on it, how it's affecting their community. I'm hearing schools are getting closed down, shelters are being erected or whatever. But I'm just saying to myself, why didn't you do this for the people of New York City, the ones that were here in New York? You know, that's the thing I'm asking. Because it seemed like if you're spending that much money on all these states, you're spending this much money on this crisis, why didn't you do something for American people? And then I've got to point at the liberals. I live in a very liberal state. I live in Connecticut. We got Joe Lieberman, Ned Lamont, and fucking, what's this guy's name? Blumenthal, Senator Blumenthal. So that's our constituents, and most of those guys you've probably heard of before, whatever. And like Trump, Ned Lamont, who's from my area, he literally was a multimillionaire before he became the governor of our state. And now he's starting to see the problem as well, where we got migrants coming over to our state because they don't have any room for them in New York. So in the area we live at, we don't live too far outside of New York. And so what we're having a lot of them coming on the trains, and they're coming into the town and they're starting problems. They're jumping on people, stuff like that. Now most of us is out there, they know if we see something like that, we're going to jump on them, don't worry about it. But what it is they have kind of like this predator instinct where they kind of like hunt in a group. So it'll be like 6 or 7 of them. And then they'll automatically think they got the up and up. I want to give a suggestion to you. If they approach you like that, take them down, tell the police why you did it later. Because they're not going to hesitate on you. These people don't come from that. They don't come from empathy. They don't come from the same solace that you have. Oh my God, and the condition that you have. These people come from the worst of the worst, a lot of them. I just gave you an example, and like I said, you can feel free to Google that picture I was telling you about, where they took over 150 knives, stuck it in this guy, and stuffed them off in the middle of the street so the whole Juarez, Mexico could see it. There's another video and another picture around that you can go look up, where they take these 3 guys, hang them over a train track or whatever, same treatment, a whole bunch of knives in them. I've seen another one where they took one and you can look this up, stuck multiple knives in their head, dropped them off at their mothers. Now, who you know in New York, even our toughest criminals in the New York City tri-state ain't did nothing like that. And yeah, when was the last time you saw something like that? In the 70s or something like that? Joey Peanuts or something like, you get what I'm saying? So I say to you, and I'll say to you again, be very weary of this incoming problem. It's going to be a lot of things that's going to come out. You're going to start seeing a lot of gangs you ain't never heard of. You're going to have to try to figure it out. You're going to be like, okay, where do they centralize that? What's the history of them? All that stuff or whatever. You're going to have to start digging in, and I'm talking to constituencies, I'm talking to police agencies, I'm talking to even the police chief. You understand what I'm saying? Because like I said before, and I'll say it again, I was highly upset that black woman that got punched in her eye down, I think it was on 96th Street, if I'm correct. She got punched in the eye from this migrant that was sleeping up under the bench. He got up, got mad at her. This is an MTA employee. This is what she do. This woman probably traveled from God knows where to get to her job, because a lot of these people that work at the train station or the subway or whatever, and they don't even live in the borough where they're working at. So that means she traveled there to be there like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I dated a girl that used to work at MTA. She used to leave out she had to be there at 1. She would leave out at 11:30. You get me? So this guy proceeds to start punching this MTA worker. He starts punching in the eye, beats up or whatever. 2 black guys and 1 Latino guy, they beat him down. They beat him down, held him down till the police came, as should be. Y'all gonna have to get used to that. You understand what I'm saying? Like, get used to that. You see somebody, and that's obviously American, get used to that. You see some of these migrant pieces of shit try to gang up on them, beat them motherfuckers down just like they did that man that motherfucking attacked that lady at the MTA. Lucky I wasn't there. I would have jumped in and kicked them a couple times just for GP. That woman's eye, she did a press conference with the head of MTA. That woman's whole eye was swollen shut. And now none of these female vloggers said nothing. Not a word about it. Y'all want to pick up on the story? Pick up on that story right there. It's very easy to find. I was surprised at none of these female vloggers. That's why I said the female vloggers ain't female vlogging. Y'all talking about a bunch of BS. And it's fine to talk about the giggles and, gossip and everything like that. I heard a girl say on AT2 show, that's the stuff we like. You better start liking something else, or you ain't gonna have no room to like that. You ain't gonna have no time to concentrate on that. Understand what I'm saying here? So I always like to leave you guys with something or whatever. And what is this? Start preserving yourself. And remember something. No matter what the history is that you've been through here, no matter what your temperament is or what the country is, and trust me, I understand a fucking whole lot of it. Trust me, if anybody understands, I understand. But don't forget one thing. This is your country. This is your country. And many of y'all have aunts and uncles, just like myself, that were in the military services. Some of them might be cops, whatever the case may be. Respect them. Respect them. Respect them. Don't let all their services that they did. All the time you go to your grandma's house, you see the picture of your great-grandfather in his military outfit. Think about that. You understand? And start loving each other a little bit fucking more. I don't like arguing with people online. I really don't. Especially when they look the same like me. Because I know the setback, and I know it from working at these record labels and everything like that. You know what I mean? And I don't want you guys to fall in this same pillar, in this hole that I see as being set up for a lot of y'all, whatever, with this whole migrant crisis and a whole bunch of other. Like I said, I don't hate those people, I really don't, but I have to be concerned about people that look like me. I have to be concerned about people that are familiar with me. With me, I grew up, most of my life in Connecticut, so it's Italians and Greeks. So, I'm concerned about them. But you better watch yourself. Watch yourself right now. This thing ain't going nowhere no time soon. Even if Trump was to get elected, you're talking about months and months and months of planning on deportation. Now, I wanted to touch on this. They've been having these deportation or repatriation flights, as they're classified as. And what they've been doing is they've been taking some of the immigrants and putting them on planes and actually sending them back. And I think that's what they call reclassification or repatriation flights, depending on who you're asking. I'm fond of it, but it's the rate of which is happening, which is slim. We're talking about 100 people, or 300, I think it was 300 people in 6 months. So if you don't know anything about that, look up the repatriation flights. I think you might find something interesting there. But guys, start picking up on some of these stories like this. Stop talking about just gossip and everybody. The highlight of the night shouldn't be how we this 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, y'all was praising Shannon Sharp. And now tonight you're talking about him because his style is busting him out. So I'm just saying, spend some more time talking about these issues like the migrant crisis and things like that. I think you'll find it a little bit more enticing. Give me 1 second, guys. I think you'll find that these stories, as you're moving forward, being bloggers and being YouTubers, you'll find a little bit more. Now, pay attention and go back and watch the live that I did here just 8 days ago and everything that I was talking about here. And you'll notice, if you match it up with all those stories, less than 12 hours. That is just ridiculous. Less than 12 hours, there was another incident where you had 23 individuals jump one individual in Times Square. And then shortly after that, I think it was maybe an hour and a half, they jumped another individual down there. So if you sit here and you tell me, just like when I came up here last time, that the migrant crisis is not something seriously to be worried about, if you tell me that, oh, well, you know, it's a liberal issue or whatever, well, you got a Republican governor sending them down there from Texas. This is not our problem. It's not our problem. We didn't get no Build Back Better plan, Joe. You know what I'm saying? Nah, we spent it all on this shit, on hotel rooms. They could have went to people here in New York City that are sleeping on the streets. I can walk right around the corner right now. You will see a group of individuals that it's probably maybe 33 degrees out here. And those people, if they went down to the local shelter right now, they couldn't even stay there. You see what I'm saying? Because there's not enough room for them. They're actually giving out tickets for those shelters now, from what the news is reported. You know what I'm saying? I haven't been involved in that system in probably 3 years now, so I don't know if it's changed or nothing like that since the pandemic has ended. But at one time they had all the people from when the pandemic was going on, they had them all in hotel rooms. If many people remember my journey, I was in a hotel room. So, you know what I'm saying? That's right here on my page. You go check that out. You will never have me embarrassed or anything about that journey because I come from the music industry. So I would humbled myself when I went through that situation because like everybody else, it was the pandemic, you know? But nobody got the chance to recover the way they should have. I think it was a short time frame within like 7 to 8 months. Okay, everything's back to normal. And Joe, only thing he fulfilled was what Donald Trump had already put into service, which was, hey, we're going to give $1,000 check. The only reason that Trump didn't get to give the rest of it is because he was leaving office. So it was a mutual agreement. But there should have been more financial support for Americans. Like I said, once again, I wish that more black constituents would start speaking up, especially a lot of the women that are elected. I wish you would start speaking up a little bit more and be like, listen, my area is affected by this. Another thing we need to repel back, and I want to say this too, and trust me when I tell you this. It sounds crazy to some of you, but trust me. There was a law that was enacted by you girls, and I forgot what the hell it was, but I think it was something like defund the police or something like that or whatever. Well, if you remember that one time I had that crazy that I was down there in Times Square and I was telling y'all about, it's still here on the page. I had this crazy and I went up to the police officer and I was just like, yo, listen, get this, because I didn't know what he had and he looked dirty or whatever. He just kept bothering me and I was like, yo, I really don't want to do something to this. It just wasn't worth it. So I said, yo, can you get your man right here? That's it. I ain't like, yo, officer, I need some help. You know, it wasn't like that. But the point I'm getting at here, what it was, what the cop said back to me shocked me. He said, there's nothing we can do. And that was because of this legislation. If many of y'all remember, I'm not going at your head here, but black American women endorsed. heavily, very heavily, and it happened. We need to repel back that shit. It's stopping some of these people, and this might be your grandmother, it might be your aunt, it might be your sister, whatever, that's attacked by one of these people, and they can't do anything to them until they do something to the extreme. Now, some of the things and some of the measures that Governor Holcomb and Mayor Adams, they just took recently and try to quell the problem, if you want to say. Some of the measures, they sound good, but they got to be executed. They got to be executed correctly. If they're not executed correctly, it's not going to work. And what you're going to see is you're going to see them continue on the same trajectory where you're going to see police officers get attacked more. As you're going to see these things happen where you got overrun so many people in these homeless shelters that you can't control. You see what I'm saying? So take what I say with a grain of salt, but I'm telling you guys, if anything, and I'll tell you anything, start paying attention and start paying attention right now. All right, that's my time, guys. Make sure you hit up the Cash App, $STRINGERBELLA0. I know I probably lost a few of you guys here and there or whatever. I know a lot of people, there's some people, I noticed that I get views on my political posts after I do it. But the other stuff, as soon as I'm talking about a star, they're right, oh my God, who are you talking about, Jaguar? You know what I mean? You guys got to stop doing that, man. This is your country, too. You see I got that flag right there in the back? So start representing that too, man, and pay attention. Like I said, start paying attention to what's going on in Chicago. Listen to some of the ears going on in Chicago and how they feel. I think they're almost at the point of war. Once again, I'm right up here, as always. Whoops. Trump Tower, New York City. And like I said, guys, make sure you just pay attention a little bit more to what's going on in the press and the news about everything with this migrant crisis. I'm going to show you guys this Black Lives Matter thing right here too. Hold on. This was here originally, and Trump had put this up, and somebody came up here and poured paint on it. Here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you. I don't know how well you guys can see that. You see right here, it's so, hold on, I'm gonna zoom in. If y'all can see that red paint, that was, well, that right there is from the streets and stuff right there, but it's a yellow paint. That's what somebody had actually came and just poured paint over top of it. Like it was messed up. Once it was a white guy at one time, and then after that it was a black woman, and she had did it in Brooklyn too, and I think Queens as well, or whatever. But it was crazy. Hold on, let me zoom this back out. That happened like, I don't know, maybe like 6 years ago now, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. So yeah, it was crazy, man. All right, guys, I'm about to head my butt back to Connecticut because it's freezing out here. I ain't doing this New York weather tonight with these damn tunnels. When you walk through the buildings, a damn tunnel. So I'm done with what I was doing today or whatever, but I just wanted to make sure I touched with the people, do something else besides gossiping and all that stuff. You guys know I come up here all the time or whatever, so make sure you leave your likes, your questions, leave donations. I would appreciate that. You know what I'm saying? All the time, $STRINGERBELLA0. Oh, also, guys, I also reacted the PayPal. So now you guys can click that PayPal link again. It works again. I just had to update, I guess, my, what the heck was it? I had to update my W-3 information and all that stuff or whatever. So that's more than active again, so you guys can use that or whatever. For you guys that's just tuning in, I'll give you one more. Because I know you guys, I got so many people from everywhere. It's like, I know you guys will get to see this in person. So I said, let me show you guys myself in case you can't find it in the, what's the name? Last time I went in for you guys, the next time I'll go in during the daytime or whatever. But shout out to Lynn Patton once again. You know, interesting story about Lynn Patton. She actually went and slept in some of the city's housing projects to fight against the credit conditions of those places. And nobody ever gives her credit for doing that. I thought that was this real, you know what I mean? Like, to be definitely commemorated and talked about or whatever. But this is all Trump Tower right here. All right, guys, we are out of here. New York's finest right there. Appreciate them all the time. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, start having these conversations on your YouTube page a little bit more often. I'll talk to you guys later. Y'all have a good night. I might be back with you tonight. If I'm not, I'll be back tomorrow. But Chicago, hold y'all head. Don't go too crazy. I understand what y'all going through out there. This migrant crisis is getting a little bit out of hand. I understand the money that's being spent out there and everything else. It's got a lot of bit hard. If y'all go back and listen to my last live, what you gonna find out is everything I said up here is the truth. And New York City police, New York City constituencies or whatever, start paying attention to these folks. Don't think this because they're smiling, they're good people. The devil smiled too.